Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. I mean, you can always tell me that it doesn't.
Hell, it works. It's fine. I mean, you know, whatever.
I'm never gonna like listen to you.
Right. You're more than welcome to voice your opinion.
Yeah, look, you can have an opinion, but I'm not gonna pay attention to it. Okay, welcome back, Screamers, to our musical version of Why Does the Wilhelm Scream? Wilhelm
Once in my
Adieu
life.
or Wilhelm Adieu. Anyway, today, a couple different kinds of horror movies. Joker 2, because it was a horror to watch and listen to. And Kelly Reichardt's Wendy and Lucy, because movies with dogs make me nervous.
Oh my
because
God.
I love dogs and we don't deserve them.
This it's so ridiculously tense. Like that was it's not a movie for everyone. If you have any sort of animal anxiety, steer clear of Wendy and Lucy.
Yeah. It's like a psychological horror film. I mean, it is just right. There's this eerie music in the background the entire time,
which is funny because we probably should have just as much anxiety for Wendy, you know, in the general scheme
but we
of
don't give a shit, right? We're like, no. We're just concerned with
you
Lucy.
get what you deserve, poor person.
You made this choice, poor people in America. So wait, before we start,
sure.
Did you happen to see Helen Mirren's quote about Kurt Cobain?
I didn't. Okay, but I want to talk about something else when we get to this, because I just learned something this week too. I did not know. No, I have not seen this. What did Helen Mirren have to say about Kurt Cobain?
I mean, this can be quick because it's just kind of silly. Helen Mirren says, "I always say it's so sad that Kurt Cobain died when he did because he never saw GPS. As it's the most wonderful thing to watch my little blue spot walking down the street.
Stop.
I just find it completely magical.
Stop it. No. What? So, what?
Right. I don't know.
How old is Helen Mirren?
79?
That's not old enough to be saying things like that.
I don't know, like, necessarily where this was on a podcast, not our podcast, so it doesn't really matter.
But it was on reaching out to Helen Mirren's people.
I know, right? I mean, can we unpack this, Helen? Can we unpack this Dame Mirren? Right? I don't know. Look, even the articles that talk about this are like, we don't understand the context. And this idea of I always say, so she just goes around and talks about Kurt Cobain like all the time, which is kind of punk rock on Helen Mirren's part. But then the rest. So is she always just like, I always say it's so sad that Kurt Cobain died before he could try this coffee shop? Or
right. He never had Takis, never once. And they're so crunchy and spicy. Like, I mean, the things he didn't see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I just thought it was pretty interesting.
That's a word for it. I mean, what a fucked up thing to say though. Like, I mean, like, he still has living relatives. I know she's 79 and she can say what she wants to say. And I mean, I'm sure it's from a good intentioned place where you still want Cobain to be here, but also kind of fuck you, because like that's not the only reason that it's sad, right? It's not sad because Kurt Cobain can now navigate streets well,
right? I mean, do you think like Kurt Cobain would just be like, yo, Apple Maps?
Also, that's not the reason he fucking killed himself. It's not like he was like, if he only held out for just a little bit longer, he could have gotten from point A to point B in the quickest possible manner. He could have figured out how
everything fine.
Right. He could have figured out how to do it by walking or by a bike or by public transit or by car. It was all laid out for him right there. What the fuck, man? Like,
I don't know.
And maybe she's like, does she go through all of, I mean, does she go through her entire day going, man, what would Kurt Cobain think about that thing that I'm looking at right over there?
I know. I mean, I know I get hung up on stuff like this sometimes, but this
is a beautiful sunset. Why isn't Kurt here?
This like early kind of, I guess, adverbial clause, I always say, it's so sad Kurt Cobain died when he did ... Right. So she just walks around like and thinking about what Kurt Cobain would have enjoyed.
Also, if that's what you always say, then you are just being a dick. You didn't like Kurt Cobain. You're just an asshole who's kind of just fucking and turning the screws a bit.
Yeah, but what if she's listening to this going like you know what? You know how many times I've seen Nirvana? What if she like, look, I would, Helen, if you're out there, like reach out and let me know like how big of a Nirvana fan like you are. Were you in the crowd for Unplugged?
Right. She was a roadie. I just like, man, you know, what's really sad is that Kurt Cobain didn't live long enough to hear my podcast about how it would be sad if he couldn't see GPS.
Yeah, I always say it's so sad that Kurt Cobain died when he did because he wasn't on Why Does Wilhelm Scream?
Right, we would have definitely had him on several times. He would have had a reoccurring guest.
He would be sitting right next to you.
That's the fucking craziest thing I've heard in a while.
It's weird, right?
Yeah, it's
weird.
Did you know that there's a conspiracy, or not even conspiracy, but like a theory that Elliott Smith didn't kill himself?
Oh yeah.
I did not know this.
You didn't know that?
Like just like this week.
Because like he maybe misspelled his own name, or like the note didn't look like whatever. I mean,
well, I always thought it was weird. Like, and I always just thought, well, he really wanted to kill himself because he stabbed himself in the heart.
Yeah.
But I never knew like I mean, like there's all these kind of like, you know, he stabbed himself through clothes, and evidently people who stab themselves don't like, they usually take off. They don't want to have to stab through things. I don't. And then like, there's like 2 stabs, and like and evidently him and his partner were like constantly at each other's throats, and that supposedly she's the one who killed him. And you know, it was a vertical stab rather than a horizontal stab, and what have you. Also, yeah, I mean, it was just, I had always just kind of gone through the past 20, 30 years, and I guess it was recently his anniversary of his death. That's probably the reason it popped up, that he had just was a really sad dude, and like, and took his own life. And it sucked that he took his own life, but and that it sucked that he took his own life in a really horrific, I mean, not that there's any good way to take your own life necessarily, but like but stabbing yourself in the heart with a knife sounds pretty painful. Right.
But I mean, I think to sort of ascribe a conspiracy theory like to this, or like, oh well, he must have been murdered, or you know, this couldn't possibly be, I think doesn't understand the heights or depths of mental illness, right? Doesn't really factor in like what people will do right when they're not in their right state of mind.
I mean, of course.
So, I mean, I think, but of course, it's easier. Because,
like Helen Mirren will say something like she wishes Kurt Cobain
which is clearly, I mean, it's clearly a cry for help, isn't it?
It has someone needs to check in on her.
I mean, yeah, we probably need to do a welfare check on Helen Mirren. But no, you know, ever since that happened, that's been out there. I remember like hearing about that.
I mean,
immediately, and just being like, just leave the fucking guy alone. I mean, like, stop. I just think it does. I don't think it helps someone's legacy. I and I also think it just dismisses again, like the pain that they were in.
Right. Yeah. And for me, like, it just was, oh, that sucks, but it kind of makes sense, kind of a thing.
No, right.
I mean, like, it was just like, I will accept the story that has been given to me that he killed himself, because I can see that as a valid outcome for Elliott Smith.
Right. And also, if someone else killed him, if his partner did it, because they were always fighting, I would have to imagine that there was ample evidence of that. I mean, it's.
I don't know.
Like, is she a criminal mastermind?
Yeah. I mean, or just ridiculously cold-hearted. I mean, who knows? Maybe.
Yeah. But like the cops came and people examined this scene, right? And okay, it was a different kind of. I'm just saying, like, I mean, no one out there is looking to cover up an Elliott Smith murder.
Unless you murdered Elliott Smith, then I mean, yes, you would.
Okay, but I mean, like, the system is not like, oh, we must protect Elliott Smith's partner, or like, oh, if the world finds out that Elliott Smith was murdered, we'll devolve into chaos. I mean,
Yeah,
we're already like, those of us who love Elliott Smith are already sad enough. We're just gonna be like, oh man,
look,
we'll just be sadder.
Did the cops arrive and go, all right, this adds up enough where I don't have to do any extra work?
Maybe. Like they're like, oh,
like,
yeah, okay.
If you did murder him, you're not gonna murder anyone else, right?
Right.
Like, we're
so
good.
If we just
look, there's just a lot of paperwork and shit's got. I mean, it's gonna cost the state a lot of money. This was clearly,
and we all know he's a sad dude.
Right, he was a sad dude. So we can look at this two different ways. But if you murder somebody else, we're gonna reopen this case
and
over
we're not
here.
Gonna be happy, right? Because you got one
Fool
over
us once, you know. But
yeah, shame on me. I don't know.
Rest in peace, Elliot and Kurt.
Right? No, kidding. I wonder what Helen Mirren thinks about Elliott Smith being dead. Right. I wonder if she's like, I always say it's so sad that Elliott Smith died when he did because he
never had a jalapeno popper. It was just like,
he never got to ride one of those Joybird scooters.
Right.
I don't know.
He never got to see Joker 2.
Okay, let's do this.
Let's jump right in.
Joker, Folie, Adieu.
Folie, Adieu.
2 years ago, the name Arthur Fleck hit Gotham like a hurricane.
The trial of the century.
They believe Arthur Fleck to be some kind of martyr. Well, he's not. There's a monster.
When you're smiling, when you're smiling,
when I first saw Joker, when I saw you,
the whole world smiles with you.
For once in my life, I didn't feel so alone anymore.
When you're laughing, oh, when you're laughing, the sun comes shining through. For once in my life, I have someone who needs me.
How about you, Arthur? Do you still think you're a star?
Showtime. The whole world smiles with you.
you can do anything you want.
The sun comes
You're Joker.
Look around! Look at all these people!
Bring on.
I will no longer allow any of you
So stop your sighing.
to keep me down.
Be happy again.
I got the sneaking suspicion that we're not giving the people what they want.
It's okay, baby. Let's give the people what they want. Sing hallelujah. Come on, get happy. Get ready for the judgment day.
Struggling with his dual identity, failed comedian Arthur Fleck meets the love of his life, Harley Quinn, while incarcerated at Arkham State Hospital. I hate this movie. This movie basically tells us there was no reason for the first one to exist, and that any reading we had of the first one is wrong. It just dismantles the previous film. It's a giant waste of time. I don't care about how much it cost. I don't care about how much it made or didn't make. I don't like Todd Phillips basically telling us, you don't get it, man. Right? This film was made intentionally to antagonize and alienate every single person who saw the first film, regardless of your feelings about said first film.
Okay. I mean, I don't disagree necessarily. I will say I did. I mean, this is clearly made by a filmmaker who didn't want to make this movie.
Also, I find him to be a very insecure filmmaker operating in this vein. What I mean is, I think that he is a comedic filmmaker trying to make quote unquote serious art and isn't confident enough in that. And so he just kind of shits on everybody.
Well, he doesn't have anybody to crib from this time, right? I mean, so he's not stealing directly from Scorsese in this case. I mean, so if we go back and look at the first one, whether it's a incel inciting masterpiece, I guess, or some sort of treatise on mental health, which again we've already stated it doesn't really do that well. The first one's a relatively empty film.
Yeah,
I mean, from a perspective of like, even if you look at it from a perspective of, well, just say the mental health aspect of it doesn't really do much for it. And Arthur, it's arguable whether or not, I mean, because he has flights of fancy and imaginary and he imagines situations doesn't necessarily mean that he's mentally ill. He's put upon,
right,
and
he's had trauma in his past,
right? Yeah. But this is not, and he's, I mean, I guess you can say that he's going to, social services and counsel. I mean, I don't know. It kind of bounces all over the place, and then it really eerily like justifies his violence. So his violence almost immediately, and then the entirety of the structure around him, I guess all of the other white men that are put upon in Gotham, then start donning clown masks because they want to also kill stockbrokers that make fun of him. I mean, make fun of them. I that's the thing about this, is that like his first act was so like almost hidden in a sense. Like it was such a, like he was fighting back against people who were drunk and bullying him, and he shot them and then chased them down and shot them. I don't know. The message is ridiculously muddled. So okay. So let's just say that then if it's about, or if you can put a read on it, that it's about this false narrative that white men are being driven out. They're being replaced. Their superiority is being questioned for the first time in the history of time, right? And so given that this is the natural outcome of that, which is a violent outburst and a rebelling against those that would then make fun of us. Like you target a talk show host, which of course most of our talk show hosts are left-leaning, comedians. So if you're looking at a way to like, if you want to spin it in a conservative light, where this is a society, and society's turning against these men who have, I mean, you can argue that Arthur has ever been a contributor, or that he's been, unfairly maligned. So that's a weird thing. It doesn't really falls apart as well. But if you wanted to look at it this way, that the Joker is the natural evolution of what's happening in society now, and it's giving rise to all these violent outbursts. And again, the story doesn't really hold water, but all over the place, the story for the Joker one is really, it's just empty, and it's just, and it's violent in a sense that it just exists in the same way that the Dan Band exists in other Todd Phillips movies, right? I mean, it's just there to be vulgar and in your face. Right. And look, I'm not bad mouthing the Dan Band. They're a one trick pony for sure, but it's adding curse words into saying certain things that'll make me giggle every once in a while too.
Absolutely. Just like when I'm alone, sometimes I just like to say curse words just to give myself the titters.
Right. For Joker 2, aside from the singing piece, which we can talk about, like what it seems like Todd Phillips was trying to do was to take that incel angle that was put upon this film that he was just trying to make King of Comedy again, right? I mean, he was just trying to make Scorsese's an amalgam of King of Comedy and Taxi Driver. and has that same sort of New York, 1970s, right? And to be honest, had that just been the film, if you just want to take a Joker story and put it in a Scorsese setting, it's not the worst idea in the world, right? And again,
it's a cop-out, but it's not the worst.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, like, if you want to start where I think DC probably should have, and they took all the wrong, lessons from this, but because they don't follow up. they completely undermine what they did with the first one, which was, let's take a singular story. Let's tell a singular story, a standalone. Let's take our hero, our villain, and give them an origin story, but then do nothing. We don't need this to be interconnected. It doesn't need to be part of a larger universe. Right. And it can be adult oriented. It can be hyper violent in a way that where you try to get Zack Snyder or J.J. Abrams or these guys that are trying to like either dumb down their own sensibilities to put it into the DC universe.
And it's removed from the comic book aesthetic.
Right. And so you're telling a gritty story. You're putting it could have been a somewhat clever spin on this entire thing. And then fucking do it with something else. I mean, like, you don't need to have these stories that are intertwined. These can be standalone things. Mm-hmm. This movie makes $1 billion worldwide. And of course, and then immediately gets greenlit for a sequel. So if the message for Phillips is trying to tell is, I don't want to make this film. Joaquin doesn't want to make this film. And I'm going to tell you that what happens in the real world when the Joker gets to prison, this to me all read like a January 6th allegory to me. Joker. I mean, aside from the singing, which honestly, like, I just wish like he had like you said, I wish he had the courage to really dive in and to make this a bonkers ass Gremlins 2 type sequel. Yeah. And not funny necessarily, but at least kind of when everyone heard this was a musical, and of course they come out afterwards like, this is not a musical, but like when everyone heard this was a musical, everyone was like, oh, well, that sounds fucking nuts. Let's see what he does with it. Right. And then you've got all of these images to like French New Wave and they don't do anything with that either. And like, so, I mean, but this whole thing is that, however you paint the different pieces, right? Whether the justice system is going to go after him. And of course, having Harvey Dent as being the DA, Two-Face going, and of course he's not Two-Face at this point, but I mean, that's still there, right? The representative government that's prosecuting Joker in this case is shown as corrupt. I mean, it's a guy who's going to turn into a villain. Right. Harley Quinn is the one who is prompting Joker to be the Joker. When he's in prison, he's just gone back to Arthur, Fleck. So he's no longer the poster boy for, white suppression and white outrage. And this insurrection that he led in Gotham has basically landed him in prison, but he's still being goaded on by the powers that be, either the media, or if you want to see Harley Quinn as whatever you want to see her as.
I mean, she's us.
Yeah.
She's the audience, right?
Right. And then once he decides that he's been beaten by the system and he just wants to be himself, he doesn't want to be a toy, then she leaves him and he ends up getting killed in prison by the quote unquote next Joker that's going to exist. It's a big, huge mess of
it's
a movie.
It's a giant mess. I mean, it's like, what is this supposed to... It's not a courtroom drama.
No,
right? I mean, it's not like some kind of version of And Justice for All or anything like that, right? It's not really a prison drama.
No.
Right? And it's not really a jukebox musical. It's like none of these things. And you just kind of waste everyone who's in there. I mean, like, Lady Gaga's completely wasted here. I mean,
the character of Harley Quinn is
also wasted. Right? Exactly. Yeah. I mean, so both, right? She starts off as kind of interesting and then just turns into just kind of like, the first Margot Robbie iteration of.
And that could have been an interesting twist to have her be the puppet master for the Joker moving forward, right?
Right.
To kind of like, oh, we've got this entity that exists in prison. Let me be a puppet master. Let me get him out of here. But let me also blow smoke up his skirt, saying that his true into. He's not Arthur Fleck anymore. Right. He is the Joker. You got to be the Joker. You know, it's
she's the one turning the screws, right?
Right.
But no, just they waste Catherine Keener.
Right. Yeah, she does not look like she wants to be in this movie either.
No. I don't think she's like, what? I mean, she probably called her agent. She's like, what am I doing here? Right. Steve Coogan is cooking though.
Yeah.
That guy he's like, let's have some fun. I'm in this thing for like a couple minutes. Let's go. Right. But like you waste Brendan Gleeson just like what the fuck? Why even have these people here?
I don't know what the story you could have possibly told here that would have been worthwhile, right? If you're going to create a sequel and you're not going to then continue this story, I mean, like having your Joker die at the hands of
the next
Joker who's taking the knife and cutting his own mouth open. Yeah. That you can't end this movie like that. That doesn't make any sense that there's just somebody if there was somebody waiting in the wings but none of this fucking makes sense. Like if you greenlight and I know this is all just studio bullshit, but if you greenlight a sequel and then you're making a series of films here, there has to be a continuation. It can't just be a complete, like you said, it can't be a complete undoing of your first film.
Because that's exactly what it is.
Right.
I mean, he's like, oh, you hated it, you don't get it. Oh, you loved it, you don't get it. And I'm just like, fuck off. Fuck all the way off. Because that's exactly, all he's doing is negating anything that came before. And like, why? Why is this such like a metafictional take on this? Why explicitly antagonize any or every single person?
But not only that, like, why are you essentially tanking your own career at this point?
Yeah.
And like, is this such a, I mean, like if historically we look back on this as a $200 million fuck you to the studios, there's an easier way to do it. Just don't take the job.
I know.
Like walk away.
Right. Like, so why take this? Why do this? If this is your attitude towards it, I mean, I don't get it. Right. Because I mean, as much as like Coppola tanks his own career, right? Todd Phillips is not Coppola. As much as I think Coppola, like,
right? No one's going to walk away thinking that
sucks.
Right. Starsky and Hutch is prime cinema.
Right. No one is going to compare anything that Phillips did to like Apocalypse Now. I mean, I just like so. But this is what I mean. Like, I just find him to be so unself-aware, but also insecure in a way that he doesn't realize it, that he's just like, oh, well, watch this, watch what, and I'm like, no, you're just scared to actually like do something original because you can't. Right. Well, I really do not like Todd Phillips. Sorry.
I mean, just well, and he seemingly did the kind of the same thing with the Hangover movies, where like he eventually like he's like, I'll make this one, I'm going to make the second one, and I'm going to basically make the same movie.
But then by the third one, he's like, you don't get it. These guys are assholes. And so,
yeah, we got it.
We got it. Right. We know. We got it. Like, no. What I mean is, they're assholes. It's like, yeah, no, we know.
Right. It's a weird move, and I don't like comparing it to something like Freddy Got Fingered, which was. Studios gave Tom Green $1 million to make a movie, and he basically made a movie that said, why the fuck are you giving me $1 million to make a movie?
Right.
Like, and here's like the whole subplot of that where he's the cartoonist. It basically lays out what he did with studio money.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no reason you don't understand why what I do works. And how it works in a very small space with a small group. You're going to give me $1 million because I'm popular on MTV. This is what you're going to get. I'm going to put my hand up in a horse's ass and jerk it off. I mean, that's just the kind of like, I'm going to take this $1 million and I'm going to spend it all, but it's going to be, you're going to regret this. And it's okay because I'm not going to be a Hollywood star. Like, it's not like,
because Tom Green knows who he is, right? For better or for worse, right? And I don't think Todd Phillips does in terms of as a filmmaker.
It's just a weird.
It's not like he's some kind of indie auteur.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
it's never has been, and
that's what I mean. Like, he's never been that, and so
and his best stuff has been. I mean, it's just one. You just have a repertoire of players that work with what you can do. It's a bonkers move. It's a bonkers move then to waste everyone's time and money. Like, I mean, like, here's the thing: is that had they both walked, I don't know if they were contractually obligated to make something else, or if this was. But I mean,
no, they weren't. I mean, so like everything that I've heard and read is that the both of them just kept thinking, like, you know, Phillips and Phoenix just kept thinking about like, oh, we should do more Joker stuff. Or Phoenix is like, oh, I can't get Arthur Fleck out of my mind. Which, are we sure that Joaquin Phoenix is a good actor?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go so far as to go. What do we say? The Zendaya route. But
I know.
I just think he's bored here. I think.
Right.
And I mean, like you said, the physicality is what is so striking. I don't think the affectation, because they kind of drop it completely in this movie anyway, about him constantly laughing.
I know,
was really all that interesting in the first point. That like that was like, oh, how do we get Joker to laugh? And again, this is you don't really need it. You didn't need that then. It was just a plot device to get people to beat him up and not like him. Right. But it's way more powerful if people are just dicks, right? You know, I mean, like, I don't know. What's crazy is that not only does it diminish, like you said, not only does it diminish the Phillips's career. I don't think it'll do anything. I don't think it'll do anything to Phoenix. I mean, he'll be fine.
No.
Or Gleason or Gaga or anybody else. I think all those people will walk away.
I mean, I think Phoenix does enough stuff to help diminish his career. I mean, without like being this film.
Yeah. How do you? I don't know. I mean, I feel that guy, like, it can't be easy being a Phoenix, like growing up being a Phoenix.
No, of course not.
Like, I mean,
you have to like
well
die
adjusted
and then be reborn. And all this.
Right. You have birds and
right.
You got a big
but
feathers.
Like you're like a firebird kind of thing. It's weird.
I forget what the fuck I was going to say, but obviously it was very poignant and compelling.
It was derailed by my bad joke.
But yeah, I mean, like, what does Phillips do after this? Does he go back and start making small, you know, $10-15 million comedies again? Like,
Old School 2?
Yeah, or like Road Trip 2, or speaking of Tom Green, or I mean, like, what does he, or does he even give a shit at this point? Is he rich enough where it doesn't fucking matter? He can just walk away, and he's so jaded by the studio system that who cares?
The same studio system he's been working in his entire career?
Right. Yeah. Right. What was his, aside from the University of Texas frat movie, what was his first?
Oh, it was like a G.G. Allen doc, right?
That's right. Yeah. And then he went directly into like something relatively big, right? It wasn't like it was.
I'll pull it up. I can't remember exactly what it was, but yes. Because he did. Yeah, the G.G. Allen Frat House. Bittersweet Motel, but then Road Trip was 2000.
Road Trip was the first one.
Yeah,
that was like,
and then Old School, and then Starsky and Hutch, and then School for Scoundrels. I mean, all of those, and then The Hangovers, War Dogs. I guess War Dogs is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I forget that he did that.
Right, because it is something a little different.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, then Joker was after War Dogs.
It's an interesting pathway. And then Joker 2, then you're no longer going to work anymore.
Right. I don't know what the point of that movie was.
Well, no one did. I mean, like, and this is another one, like Megalopolis, that people will go, well, you didn't really. I mean, like, there's going to be defenders.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, I was kind of like flipping through some of the reviews, and people are like, oh, this is such a genuine kind of film, and I'm like, it is. like. I just, this is, I mean, whatever. I don't know. I don't really see the critical kind of approach. I don't understand the sort of critical support that this film might get, because I just don't think that it's put together well. I don't think that there's a craft there. I think that it looks good, right?
Yeah, I mean,
but okay, but that's not. And I think that some of the actors are good, but
I thought Gleason was actually pretty good.
I thought Gleason was good. I thought that Gaga was fine. I don't know that I'm a huge fan of Lady Gaga in general. I mean, but I thought that she was fine. I just don't think she's like given a whole lot to really do.
Right.
I mean, I think she could have been handed a lot more, and this could have almost been her movie.
Yeah, and that's really what this should have been, right?
Yeah.
If she is the puppet master and the one who's kind of pulling, I mean, and directing all of this, it should be her, not as because again, the movie kind of posits that she's actually a plant, right? That she's in there to specifically.
That she's almost conducting an experiment, a sociological experiment.
Right, which doesn't really work because she's still in that. I mean, like, there's no, her driving force to get Joker to notice her, like, doesn't, like, that's a complete coincidence according to the movie anyway.
Right.
Right. It's just a matter of that they happen to be passing and then that, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, like, but then you find out that she's in there on her own accord and that she can leave whenever she wants and then steps outside of it to kind of help Arthur with his trial. And the fucking, like, the sex scene and the bait and like and the whole pregnancy piece of it, it's all
so dumb.
It's they're like if it
and the Foghorn Leghorn voice. What was that?
Yeah.
Wow, Mr. Puddles.
I actually kind of did like that part of it too. I thought it was kind of funny. I did like, okay, so like I think there's,
that's really your last name?
There were that was kind of dumb. But I did like, I don't know, in ascribing too much to this movie is probably dangerous or choices. But I did feel like in that moment where when Arthur turns into the Joker to run his own trial, that he clearly has no idea. So he's going back on like a Gregory Peck, like of like these people that he's seen in courtroom dramas and acting that out.
I think that's where you're definitely giving the movie more credit than it is. Now, I think if he had done something to really make us see that, then I think that could have been, if this was really sort of a kind of of reference. If Phillips was using that to reference, like, And Justice for All or anything else, right? What is the Clarence?
Or even like A Time to Kill. In this case,
right. Or even like To Kill a Mockingbird, something. Then I think that makes more sense. But it just seems like he is, because we've never seen. Have we ever seen Arthur Fleck watching movies?
No, and that's the thing, is that a better movie would shift tones in order to do that, right? A better movie would guide an audience a little bit more, to be a little bit more it's specific about what its actual intentions are. Like I said, I think there's a seed here that's not a terrible movie.
No,
in the sense where if you had have if you take the natural progression from this, is that Arthur does have this, like, this movie takes almost immediately right after Joker 1, right? He's in prison and now he's in Arkham, right? Yeah. And at the end of Joker 1, he has this fantasy of killing his therapist, and like he's leaving bloody footprints as he's walking off to his cell, which clearly that never happened.
So that was a fantasy.
That was a fantasy because his therapist is in Joker 2. She reappeared. I mean, I could be mistaken.
No. I don't remember. I was not going to go back and rewatch Joker.
No, I understand.
1, right? But I remember the end. I just don't remember who was there with him. I thought that it was just like an orderly or a guard that he then kills and sort of like runs down the hall.
No, he's talking to his therapist, and then there's an orderly at the end of the hall as he's kind of going to his cell.
Okay.
So had this have been where he has all of this import, or self-import at least, because he's killed these people and he's murdered his mother, who's been this kind of oppressive, force in his life.
But no one knew that.
And no one knew that one, right? But he did, though, right? And so now he is emboldened by killing on national television, killing this guy who's antagonized him, who's called him the Joker. He's taken that name and made it his own. and utilized it to drive this force. Have we come 2-3 years later where it's not just about, because I mean, this murder trial could have taken, who knows what the fucking justice system's like in Gotham, you know, shit takes a while to get through the
right.
through the courts.
I mean, just like in Red Rooms and like French Montreal, who knows?
Right. You feel like there's a lot of crime going on in Gotham, so maybe Harvey Dent's got some things to prosecute before Arthur, right? Yeah.
I mean, apparently, because the Arkham place is pretty full.
So it has this take place through 2 or 3 years, and everyone's forgotten about Joker, right? It's like, and he is now in Arkham, and he's like, and he, you know, has someone that comes up and then, you know, again, kind of reminds him who he is. But there's a struggle there because he also realizes that it goes away that easy. So now he's like trying to get that back and trying to hold on to it. By being this bravado force, now that his case is on TV, he sees himself in the TV, right, dressed up as Joker. So he becomes his own, you know, he fires Catherine Keener and becomes his own, you know, his representation. I think there's an interesting thread there. I don't know, like, but nothing is ever done with the music, right? It's just a matter of like, okay, here's a fucking crazy little thing that we do. All of the flights of fancy in this one if it doesn't pay off to have Joker fall so easily in love with Harley Quinn, right? It's okay for her to be a puppet master in this case and move him along and still instill confidence back in him. But for him to fall, he's too self-absorbed. By this time, he should be too self-absorbed. And that's the whole Joker fucking story, right? He should be too self-absorbed to fall in love with Harley Quinn. And so those types of, you know, it's the Harley and Joker show. And it's, you know, we're going to be dancing and all this other things. And we're going to have a wedding scene. And then your fantasy still ends up with, you know, with Harley killing you.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make any sense at all. One of the things I did think
ties it back to Elliott Smith.
Right. I'm pretty sure Helen Mirren is sad that Joker's not going to be around to see GPS.
Well, right. Right. Or the internet, because it was like the 70s.
Right.
So I
did think the opening animated section was interesting.
I was just going to say that was like the best part.
That was the best part, right? Because it shows this idea. I think it sets that up pretty well, is that Joker and Arthur are two separate entities. The whole thing about me and my shadow, and then my shadow is the one who's really driving all of this. And that when he steps away, Arthur's the one that gets the shit beat out of him. Like that's like, I was really kind of actually pretty excited when I first saw that. I was like, holy shit, they're really going to go with this, like with an animated, a Warner Brothers.
I know, which I thought was great. Right? I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And this like riffing on that.
Right. And this idea that the Joker entity leaves Arthur in the lurch, and that there's a reason that Arthur is going to glom on and try to be the Joker more than he is, because when he's just Arthur, he continually gets his shit kicked out of him, regardless of whether it's emotionally or physically.
Right.
And so for him to like embrace it, realize that, and embrace it, it's just such fucking wasted potential. Like it's just crazy.
No, but that's right, because it's just Todd Phillips giving everyone the middle finger,
right?
Because he thinks he's
smarter than everyone. Yay for us. I mean, yay for movies.
Yay movies. But again, and like also, I mean, I'm watching this and I'm thinking like, why not just make this like Anatomy of a Fall?
Right.
I mean, you know, not that, but
right.
I mean, but there's a movie that's set almost entirely in a courtroom, and even though you thought it was overrated, you're still wrong about that. I need to let go of things.
Overrated
apparently.
From the perfect movie that people were calling it, but sure.
Okay, sure. No. That's fair. But that movie had its own baked-in tension. Right. And we never left the courtroom. And I don't know why this couldn't have been something like that, to let us see that character, right, in that one spot. Like I said, kind of do this back and forth. Okay, now I have to be Joker to get through this trial. I have to be this thing to get through there. And when does that mask fall? When does it not?
And to be fair, like, yeah, I
mean, has Todd Phillips not seen Matthew McConaughey's The Lincoln Lawyer? It takes place in Lincoln.
Or Francis Ford Coppola's The Rainmaker.
Right. Has he ever read a John Grisham book?
Right. The formula is there.
It's right there,
it's
Todd.
So easy.
Oh, you're too good for a formula, unless it's a Hangover film.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Yeah, I've seen people like subscribe like meaning to the name to like where where
you mean like it's Joker, not the Joker?
Well, the like fully a do is what they were like. Right, it's like this is it. This is like fully goodbye. In addition to fully do, which was obviously another thing, but like also how it kind of comes off the tongue is like this is Todd Joker saying goodbye to Joker.
Todd Joker. No.
Todd Joker Phillips.
That's his new fucking name. Todd Joker.
Oh well.
Yeah. Oh well. Anything else you want to say about Joker?
Okay, good.
Good. All right, good. Let's turn to a happy film and let's talk about Wendy and Lucy.
Great dog. What's her name?
Lucy.
You're a sweetheart, Lucy.
Where you going?
Going to Alaska.
Woohoo! King salmon. You going to work? You can't sleep here, ma'am. You can't sleep out here. It's not allowed.
Okay.
$50. You can pay your fine now, or you can come back for a trial with the judge.
I don't live here. I'm just passing through.
If you get stopped in another state, you're just going to end up right back here.
$100. Be 50 for labor. Tow it over, I guess. That adds another 50.
Who's that?
It's your sister. She broke down in Oregon.
What does she want us to do about it?
No address? No phone either? No, not right now.
You can't get an address without an address. You can't get a job without a job.
I can smell the weakness on you.
Well, I hope it all works out.
Over the summer, a series of unfortunate happenings triggers a financial crisis for a young woman, and she soon finds her life falling apart. I know that we said we don't deserve dogs. Do we deserve Michelle Williams?
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Right. Who thought Jen from Dawson's Creek?
Well, but that's the thing. I was looking at her career. Like, she had been doing good stuff before Dawson's Creek.
No,
like,
I know.
Like, I do think that it's interesting to me that she took Dawson's Creek. They must have offered, it must have been pretty decent money, because Dawson's Creek is such a run of the fucking mill, like,
and that was what,
teen
98?
98
right? like 2003.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Do you think Vanderbeek is like, I should have been the one?
No, I don't think so.
I should have been the one that broke out.
I like to think that James Vanderbeek knows exactly who he is.
Michelle Williams ain't never done no fucking Varsity Blues.
She was in Halloween that same year that started, and also Dick, right? That same year too.
Right.
Yeah. And But I'm a Cheerleader. That's right. I forgot she was. Yeah, her career's great. I think the work she does with Kelly Reichardt is something kind of else, something different, like something really sort of.
And then she would have done what she won. She was already nominated for an Oscar when she did Wendy and Lucy, though. She'd already been in Brokeback. That was the year before,
right.
So,
it was 2005.
Right.
Yeah. Wait, has she won an Oscar?
No, she's been nominated 5 times and has not won.
That's ridiculous.
I know, right? And I don't know who won the years that she didn't win, but she was nominated for The Fabelmans, which she probably could have won for that. She was nominated for My Week with Marilyn, Brokeback, and then a couple of other things. I can't remember now exactly what. Maybe, I don't think it was All the Money in the World. That didn't seem right.
No, that doesn't seem right. It was Venom.
Yeah, it was Venom. Yeah. She was nominated for an MTV movie.
Did you watch Fosse Verdon?
I did not.
Okay, she's fantastic.
Is she?
Yeah, but again,
is she Verdon?
Yes. Yeah. No, she's Fosse.
Okay. She plays them both. It's like a
right. Actually, what they do is they do a True West kind of thing. So even if it was on TV, there's like 2 different versions. One where Rockwell plays Fosse and Michelle Williams plays Verdon, and then the other one is Rockwell playing Verdon. and Michelle Williams playing Fosse.
Nice.
And so you never know, like,
right, who's going to show
which
up.
night you turn into, like,
right.
Which version you're going to get.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, she is like able to play wildly understated roles when you wouldn't think someone like that came off of Dawson's Creek would be able to do that. And again, I was familiar, but I never watched Dawson's Creek because it wasn't like it was.
You know, have you seen? There was an old, not old, but there was an SNL skit with somebody would play like Dakota Fanning. And they were on this talk show, and Keenan Wayans was like the host, and he's like, so what do you think of like the Harry Potter books? And she'd go, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar. So I don't know. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar. He's like, come on, you have to know. And she's like, did Michiko Kakutani write about that? I mean, just like this whole like thing. So you being like, I was familiar with Dawson's Creek. Well, I mean, I never watched it.
To be fair, I mean, like I had my own, like I had my own, like I had watched Party of Five and
of course, yes,
and My So-Called Life. I had plenty of teen dramas that by the time that and here's the thing is that also when
you
Dawson's
weren't really
Creek,
a teen at that point.
Well, no, I definitely wasn't.
Yeah, and
I also like watched like One Tree Hill for a while, like the first season.
I'm not familiar.
Right, that the girl from One Tree Hill just came out like with like where she has came out and said something about how she was in it, like her husband, like her marriage was basically she had to like leave her marriage because it was like a cult essentially.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. The girl who was in, have you seen Thinner, the Stephen King? She was his daughter, Robert's daughter in Thinner. She was
I still can't believe that guy went from like Hal Hartley to like Thinner.
Right? I don't know who directed Thinner. I don't
either. It wasn't Hal Hartley.
No, it was not. Well, I mean, come on. He could have easily done Thinner. Like,
what if I'd love to see Hal Hartley do like a Stephen King adaptation?
That would be
rad. Amazing. That would be so great. Right? That would be incredible. Just get all the band back together and just do some weird Stephen King thing.
Just a contemplative Christine, like it's just like like where Christine doesn't like kill anybody. She just talks. She's just like a sentient car. Yeah.
Robert Burke and the other guy, what's his name? I can't remember his name now. Bill Sage. They just like driving around in Christine talking and like.
Or like
that's the entire movie.
Right. She's just like she like honks her displeasure whenever they say something stupid or whatever. But they can't get rid of her because she's in love with both of them. It's like a weird love triangle that exists. And like Michelle Williams comes in as the ingenue, and like Christine and ends up running her over in the last frame, like off screen, but you hear it.
Because they couldn't afford to do it like on screen. Yeah,
let's green like
I
that.
really
for
like
sure.
this.
Yeah.
I have $6 in my pocket. I can like throw in right.
There's got to be some undeveloped, unpurchased King property at this point. I mean, I know there's not, but I mean, like,
right. That Hal Hartley could do.
Do you ever think like Stephen King, like, sits back and thinks, I'm going to write this. I know it's not the best thing that I've ever written, but I know that immediately it's going to get licensed. And I just saw like,
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I'm sure he does. I'm sure that, I mean, look, I don't know if you've read, I don't like Stephen King's books, like at all, but I get it. I understand the appeal. And I think that he knows how to craft a narrative. He knows how to build characters. He is a really good writer, even if I don't like his books. He wrote a book just called like On Writing,
right?
And it's fucking brilliant. No, I mean it is fantastic. So the way this guy thinks about writing, I'm like, why don't you like? That's where I want to see some sort of like postmodern masterpiece, right?
Right.
So I absolutely believe that he's like phoning this one in and don't fucking care because they're just gonna like.
Right. They're
just gonna write me a check. Okay.
I mean, I'm sure that there's stories that he's passionate about that he feels are great, but yeah, there's got to be something like I'm not really feeling this. Let's just wrap this motherfucker up and let's throw a giant demon in it, and it was all aliens all along. And
what's the like Jean Galier's book or something?
The Langoliers, but that was a short story.
Okay, I know that wasn't the
right. I do a lot of audiobook King because I don't want to get into good books with like with audiobooks because I just want to hear like fluff.
Yeah,
to me it's like Law and Order when I'm folding clothes kind of thing.
I was just gonna say or like Friends when you're folding clothes. Yeah.
So it's fine for me. Like the books that like I actually find myself wanting to like kind of dive into for King. Like and again I don't necessarily know if I would long term because I don't do serial books all that well, but like the Dark Tower stories seem kind of interesting to me, but like, and also Stephen King books, like they end up being too long. I'm never going to like sit there and read.
They are really long.
800 different Infinite Jests at this point.
Like, they're like doorstops.
Yeah. But I listen to The Stand because that's like a mini series in my head at this point. So I mean, like, it's all right, fine, it's fine, whatever.
Right,
And if it meanders, then it's fine. But I don't know what my point is anymore. But yeah, no, I mean, like, Hal Hartley and Stephen King, like, I mean, like,
I think it's great that sometimes you do know what your point is, because I never really know what mine are. Like, I just,
yeah, I mean, I think he could be that guy. There's got to be a small, Bachman book that exists out there that, like, let's let him remake Silver Bullet.
Oh, there you go. Oh, wow.
where we get a little kid and like because he's never really worked with kids, right? That'll be a new thing for him. So like like I know Haim, the protagonist of that story is like 13 probably. And the book is it's like a short, like almost pictured book. It's easy. But yeah, Robert Burke could easily take on the Gary Busey role at this point, or the Thomas can do it as well. Like that'd be a great Gary Busey role for him.
See, this is we have to call.
Right. Yeah, we got to get in touch with the representation.
We have to get in touch with him and really get into this. But I like what would a Kelly Reichardt Stephen King film look like?
Oh yeah, I mean like
just like no music, just really quiet,
right? And it would just go from point A to point A prime
and back
and
again.
Then it would just end. Like there's got to be a good King book for her though. There's got to be a book that doesn't really end well. Like there's just kind of like ends. It just kind of stops. And we roll credits. Yeah. Fuck this movie, man. Like it was so good, but like, goddamn, like it's so fucking cringe the entire time. And I don't agree with the IMDb, obviously.
No.
I mean, this is not a series this is a girl who's moving to Alaska. She's already had her life upended.
Right.
Everyone in this movie, except for her, and even her kind of sucks balls. And she is doing
they're just, I mean, these are people, I mean, I think that kind of does them all a disservice saying that they suck balls. I understand because like we see her and then we see this like circle of punks on a campfire. We see this like, old security guard standing outside of a Walgreens or whatever. And then we've got Will Patton as a mechanic. And so like these are people who were all kind of in one way or another on the edge of society.
Right. They're in a small town.
Somewhere in Oregon, right? Whether it's like Portland or outside of Portland. But I mean, but here's the other thing. Like, I think that this film, like all of Reichardt's film, is really kind of slightly political. Mm-hmm. Right. So this is 2008, right? This is our like Great Recession. Our economy is cratered. And these are the people that are going to feel it the worst, right? This young woman is going to Alaska to look for work, right? And what I love is like, we have no idea what's driven her to this.
Right.
We have a lesser film would have dived into her backstory, like through flashback or whatever, right? And spent too much time on that. But it doesn't fucking matter. Like none of that matters. All that matters is that she's trying to get to this new place.
She's got like $500 in her pocket.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And
her entire life in this car.
And her entire life is that dog.
Right.
I mean, really, that's what it is. Because when Lucy goes missing, right? Sorry. Look, we're gonna tell you this so you don't have to go watch it and worry about the dog. Okay.
Right.
Everything works out okay. Right. The dog is fine. Right. It's Kelly Reichardt's own dog. It's the same dog from Old Joy.
From Old Joy. Yeah.
But like that's when her world falls apart. It's kind of like she can deal with everything else.
Right.
But when the situation with Lucy happens, she loses it. Right. And that's where it's like, I mean, I think it shows us how tenuous this woman's life is and how hanging on by a thread, right? It really is. And so, yeah, everyone kind of does suck, but like not in the worst way.
Right. They're all living their lives, right?
Or they're trying. I mean, especially like they're trying to.
I think that also speaks to a lot of what this movie is saying is that at any moment of kindness, could have helped her out immensely.
Yeah.
Any moment of like understanding or compassion or empathy and getting out of her own way would have helped her out immensely.
Also, though,
but she doesn't do herself any favors either.
She never connects with anyone.
Right.
She has this chance to share a fire with the punks. She doesn't. Right. She kind of makes a connection with a security guard, but it's a very kind of not much of a connection.
But you also see that. I mean, the film does kind of put her in a position of like she's on her heels the entire time. I mean, she feels like the moment where she's camping out and she feels like she's kind of gotten, yes, Lucy's gone, but she's gotten a handle and there's a path forward for her. Her car's been towed. Like it's going to get fixed. She can fix it. She can pay for the fixes. She's talked to the pound. So they're on the lookout for Lucy.
Yeah.
And things are going okay as best they possibly can. And then she comes across a homeless man who's like, then starts to look through her stuff and threaten her. Yeah. I mean, not even necessarily threaten her, but scares the shit out of her.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is what happens when you star in River of Grass.
Yes. Yeah.
You turn into this. Right. And that completely like kind of shakes her foundation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I mean, like for an hour and 20, this is it's a tense.
It's a heavy 80
watch.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, but everyone is so good in this. I don't, except for Patton. I don't really like Patton in this movie. But like,
really?
Yeah, I don't really care.
You don't?
I don't know why. I don't know what it is that he rubs me the wrong way. And here's the thing. I think I have a bias against him because of Armageddon. There's just something about his Armageddon role that fucking pisses me off.
Interesting.
And I can't, like, it's just, and it's also because his voice is so distinctive.
Yeah.
Like it's just, and also, I don't know. He's made a lot of shitty decisions. Like I can't stand Remember the Titans. I fucking hate that movie.
Yeah. No, I know.
I hate his arc in Armageddon where he is fucking dumb kid. He doesn't even know that exists. He gives him that fucking stupid space shuttle and his kid's running with the space shuttle at the end of, I mean, just fuck, that movie's god awful. I mean, like it's, I know
you're blaming him for that movie. And I think you really need to blame Todd Phillips.
You're right. I should blame,
because I
blame the studio system that's fucked over Todd Phillips.
Right.
They fucked him over by giving him all that money to make those
letting
movies.
him make all those movies and then giving him a ton of money to make these other two movies. I really like Patton in this film, and he's not in it for very long.
He's not in it for very long.
What I love is him on the phone. I'm like, I'm watching this going, he's just making this up, right? As he goes along. This is not in the script,
yeah.
right? This is not, this cannot be. He's just like, you're blowing my mind. You're blowing, okay, 50 on True Love or whatever it is. And he's like making bets, but like, and then he keeps talking about, well, get your voltage reader, right? If it's less than, say, 14, then you got a problem. Right. And I'm just like, he's just making this stuff up as he goes. Right. I mean,
that'd be awesome if it was true. Yeah.
Right. I just can't. I do feel like Reichardt would just go, yeah, just do it. You're a mechanic. I don't know. What would a mechanic say?
Ready, go.
He's like, got it.
You're a small town mechanic that has built a reputation of being fair, and you're kind of taking advantage of that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I like Will Patton, and I mean, I don't like all the movies he's in, but I usually like him, right? And I think he's so good in smaller things, right? Like, I think he's really good in Janet Planet, and I think he's good in stuff like that. I don't think anyone's good in Armageddon.
The animal cracker is pretty good.
Oh yeah, have you had animal crackers?
Oh yeah, they're awesome.
That's what I mean. Like, when are they ever bad?
I could eat fucking animal crackers. If that was the only thing on earth, I could eat animal crackers and never get tired of them.
Nick Cage could eat a peach and Face Off.
I could eat an animal cracker for hours. That's so sexy, so erotic.
Know,
just as erotic as Nicolas Cage saying he can eat a peach.
Crunch.
Yeah.
No,
your mouth gets real dry.
Stop. No, animal crackers are delicious. Look, I mean, do you ever think there's anything? Look, I mean, we're both apparently grown adult men.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, on paper, according to our driver's license, is
according to the legal system.
But like, don't you just like want to carry around like a box of animal crackers, like, and just I don't know. They're just so much fun and so delicious.
Yes.
And then like you want to like sort of like play with them and make like noise
on Liv Tyler's bear stomach.
Well, okay, sure. But I was thinking like more like, build a circus with animal crackers.
Right. Don't eat the gorillas. But yeah.
No.
Yes, of course. Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I want to. Yes, I do. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. Do you know what else I always think of? Like thinking of like kind of crunchy handheld snacks. The Goldfishes song from the commercials. Like this was like several years ago. I don't think they do this anymore, but there was a commercial that had a song about goldfishes, and it was like, what was it? It was like the
snack that smiles back
until you bite their heads off.
Right.
Yes, the snack that smiles back until you bite their heads off. And I'm just like, that's hilarious and dark all at the same time. Yeah, I love that song.
Did I tell you about my proposed Chapel Roan?
No, I was going to ask you about this. Yeah.
So I was my partner, wife, what have you? How we classify things these days.
Lady friend.
My lady.
Special lady friend.
Lady.
No.
Kenny Rogers.
Oh, okay. Not that one. Look, we can do Lucille.
All right.
And we can do Ruby.
Yeah, Ruby, don't take your love to town.
I love that, right? Yeah. And I just love that line about like, if I could move, I'd get my gun and put you in the ground. I just like this idea that he's in this wheelchair and just can't move, right? And she's like, see ya.
I know this is a weird non sequitur, not that way, because we went right into it, but like, did you listen to an inordinate amount of Kenny Rogers when you were a kid?
I did.
Okay, maybe that's a generational thing.
Right? I think it is.
And I know they had like Howard of the County and like the Gambler TV shows. Or
it's the Gambler, right? Yeah. It's the Gambler.
I don't know, like something about those like storytelling country songs.
Yep, absolutely.
And he was so good at it. I don't know. It was I remember like I feel like when I was like between 4 and 8, Kenny Rogers and Weird Al Yankovic like took up a really large amount of my time.
Yeah. We were I remember being in like grade school. Like I would have been around like 10, 11, and we loved Weird Al.
Oh, I mean,
it was just amazing, right? Like, oh my God, this is so funny.
I was, again, another conversation with my wife. I was like walking through, I was like, so no, you don't understand. Like, it's not every Weird Al song's a parody. Now, some of them are just done in the style of another song.
I love that you're explaining.
I'm mansplaining Weird Al, which is the only way you can explain Weird Al. There's no female fans of Weird Al.
It's kind of like Springsteen.
Yeah, my wife hates Springsteen.
So many women hate Springsteen.
She's like, I hate his voice. I hate his songs.
I know. I'm like, okay.
I mean, like, I'm not a biggest Springsteen fan, but I'm also like, yeah, I can.
I like Springsteen quite a bit. Up to a point, and then I'm like,
I mean, Nebraska's great. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, yes. But Wild, Innocent. The Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle is one that is under-listened to. It's his weirdest record, and I think maybe my favorite of his. Right. So,
back to Chapel Roan.
Yes.
So,
I'm sorry, I derailed that conversation.
You did. So stop fucking. Let me stay on a path. All right. So also, did we? Speaking of paths, did I show you this other? No, fucking. But she's been listening to Chapel Roan a lot. Like I guess as every woman of her age probably is at this point. And I look, it's a weird phenomenon. I think I have an explanation for it. I'll get to that in just a second. But I do think that Chapel Roan is missing out on a collaboration opportunity with with Little Caesars, because you can go into Little Caesars and you can get a hot and ready pizza. You see where I'm going with this? Or she's like, so like I was just picturing this. It's not. It needs to be workshopped. It's not 100% right. I'm going to tell you that right now. But like we come in and like Chapel's at a concert and she's just finishing, because she's gonna finish with. I mean, like your Pink Pony Club is what the thing that brings on the house, right? That's the thing. She's going to go off and she's going to finish off with that. But she's still got Hot to Go. Like Hot to Go will end her first set before she does her encore, right? So we go and we see the crowd, HOTTODO, you know how to spell it, right? And she comes off stage and she's kind of wiping her brow and she sees the camera. It's like kind of like a Mean Joe Green kind of thing in the Coke commercial. She's like, hey, I'm Chapel Roan, and bear with me. When I'm horny, like I want my partner to take me Hot to Go. But when I'm hungry, I trust Little Caesars for their hot to go pizzas. And then she goes into like how she chooses either the pepper, when she's in the pepperoni mode, she's in the cheese mode, it's fine. Like, and then I'm just saying, I know it's not there yet. I know that it's not there yet.
I like this though. I think we can work with this.
I think and I think that she needs to strike while they aren't. So not that she's not a talented person necessarily, but I don't necessarily know like how long her window is going to be. I think it'll all depend on the second album, to be quite honest. But like, I do find that I think that her popularity all stems from
the right endorsement deals.
Well, that will extend it. I think that'll help her out. Okay. But I think right now her like zeitgeist moment is all being driven by like housewives that are not housewives. That's a derogatory term in a sense. Like, wow. Like, sorry, I don't mean it like, well, I mean, we use it so often and just in the reality thing, right? But women of a certain age that are not supposed to be Chappell Roan fans, like, because those women can't necessarily be fans of Taylor Swift. Their kids can be fans of Taylor Swift, right? But Taylor Swift is like Margot Robbie. Like, you can't relate to Taylor Swift. She's a billionaire who sleeps with Jake Gyllenhaal and football players, right?
Right.
That could be a fantasy, but you're not going to relate. Chappell Roan speaks to like the women who like, they read Twilight and now they're reading like Sarah J. Maas, and they're reading like the pseudo young adult kind of horny fantasy series, and they're kind of really diving into those rabbit holes. She's a fan, like her fans are like women who like, they sneak a cigarette when their husband goes off to, or like, they're with their girlfriends, they're smokers, and so I'm just saying like I get you. And I'm saying that's a window, like this is a, like, these are the women that read Twilight, and now they've evolved to like, that doesn't really do it for them anymore. And E.L. James is like too far as the pendulum swings. That's just porn, right?
Right.
So now we read things that are like, well, if the guy has wings and a blue penis, then it's not really porn. It's still fantasy, and I can get there.
I understand.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I do things that are these are women that do things for themselves,
sure.
right? And Chappell Roan is not porn, but she's dirtier than Taylor Swift. She sings about, she has a lot of curse words in her, and not a lot. She's not like NWA or anything, but like she sings about humping, like, and like all, her songs are about hump. Most of her songs are about fucking somebody. I've listened to enough of them that they feel like they're all
is
about
that like
sex.
Sabrina Carpenter too?
I cannot listen to Sabrina Carpenter.
Okay.
I'm familiar, but I cannot listen to her because I've listened to Sabrina Carpenter to me is like Olivia Rodrigo, who I also can't listen to. Like there's which is weird that I could,
but like, she's definitely hornier than Olivia Rodrigo, isn't she?
I think so. I don't know. I've only seen the Sabrina Carpenter song that's being made fun of by the new Beavis and Butthead. So I really want to listen because I can't mentally, and I mean, this thing's more about me than it is about Sabrina, but I can't mentally wrap my head around listening to Sabrina Carpenter songs and then pulling meaning or like following the thread, because it feels like she's just like a weird mumblecore, almost a mumblecore like pop female star.
Okay.
Because she's just kind of, it seems stream of consciousness to me. It's like she's singing Bret Easton Ellis words, and I can't follow the thread because I start to like wander off. And her voice is not, to me, compelling enough to like kind of dive in and like.
Well, no, I don't think that's what most people find compelling about her.
What do we find compelling?
Her body.
Like she's just hot.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't. Okay, look. I mean, that's fine and that's great, right? I have no problem with that, because I mean, that's, I think, clearly how she's presenting herself on stage too. I mean, did you see her? Was it for Coachella? Like her billboard announcing her Coachella set? No. It was like, Sabrina Carpenter will make you come to her concert.
All right.
No, not right. But I mean,
come on.
No,
I mean, I get it. Like,
it's cheap, but it's like clear as day what she's promoting there, like in her music, isn't it? And again, that's fine.
Right.
But it's not. It's not like, hey, I got some really snappy lyrics for you. It's like, look, I'm going to be scantily clad and talking about sex.
I remember when my mom was really upset when George Michael's "I Want Your Sex" was actually on the radio.
Everybody's mom was. Everybody's mom was.
And it was really hard for me to like explain to her that, wait, in the video, he writes explore monogamy on a naked lady's body and lipstick. I mean, he's clearly wanting things to be more aligned biblically than what you were giving him credit for.
He's not sleeping around. He just wants to explore one person's sex, mostly his.
Right. Now, look, sure, we find out later that he's not interested in exploring monogamy with any female bodies. And
or with anybody.
Right. That's true, yeah.
Especially not,
you know what's sad?
Especially not Andrew
You know what I
Ridgely.
find sad, and I always say this, is that George Michael wasn't around to see GPS.
I think he's a fascinating kind of like character, right? I mean, in so many ways. I mean, just the ups and the downs. I think he was incredibly talented, but also just like a hedonistic, like, give
100%.
me everything.
I think we sleep on his talent a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
I think Listen Without Prejudice is like one of the I think Listen Without Prejudice is one of the best albums of like that era.
But I think Faith is great.
Yeah.
I mean,
it has too many versions of I Want Your Sex on it, but
yeah.
But sure.
But even like when I was, because I had that cassette, and I mean, I was too young to really understand pretty much anything in that record, right? But I knew it was good.
And even Wham is decent pop. I mean, like, it's not, it's, as far as like those types
George
of
Michael
songs.
and that straight guy.
Right.
I used to make that joke all the time. And there was this was back when I was living in Indianapolis, and I used to hang out and drink at this like jazz club. And
back in your homophobe days.
No. So I used to hang out with just a whole bunch of different people. And there were some like theater cats there, and they were gay. Right. So, you know what? I wasn't a homophobe. I knew like 2 gay people. No, I'm kidding.
Some of my best bar buddies are gays.
The gays. I'm friends with the gays.
Right.
But, like anytime.
I didn't say nothing when they drink all those fruity drinks.
That's how much of an ally I am. I let them sit next to me even, right?
That was like 1990s allyship, was just not making fun of people for doing gay stuff.
Doing a gay. But like I would always... Anytime like George Michael or Wham came up, I would always, for Wham, I'd be like, yeah, George Michael and that straight guy. And somebody would always look at me and just go, Andrew Ridgely. And I'm like, it was a joke. I'm sorry I didn't credit Andrew fucking Ridgely, okay? Yeah, anyway.
We all know who the talent was.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Back to Wendy and Lucy. I mean, I think I do think that, like, we talked about the last couple of episodes where it is kind of surprising. And I said it was surprising that it took so long for Reichardt to make a second movie. I do understand why Reichardt clips at this pace now. Like, there's not like, it's not like you need a Reichardt film. And this sounds shitty. It's not like you need a Reichardt film every year to come out and like you're sitting on pins and needles. But when one comes along, it's exciting.
Yeah.
But it does require a lot of the viewer.
It does.
And then especially this one with the dog piece of it all. And like, so this movie ends up where, things start to look up. There's a slight upswing. And when I say we see, she, where she only had to pay $50 to get out of jail because she had shoplifted food for Lucy. And that's how she loses Lucy. She ends up going to jail because they won't let her take care of her dog before they take her in to book her and process her. So she pays $50 to get out of out of local jail. And so now she's able to get her car towed over across the street to the mechanics. He's like, if it's a serpentine belt, or if it's a timing belt, it's only going to be a couple $100 a piece. So it's fine. And then it finds out that she's got to completely rebuild her engine. So she's on an upswing, and then she finds out that that her car is basically totaled, and that but she does find Lucy, and she goes to see Lucy.
She's at a foster.
She's at a foster home. Someone took her because she saw her tied up, and she's at this foster home, and Lucy's in good spirits. She's got a big yard, and she realizes that she can't take care of her.
Yeah.
Especially without a car, and she can't go to where she's going. And that sequence, goddamn, man, that sequence where she's like, and then, she's saying it to herself, obviously, because Lucy's a dog and she can't understand English, but that whole thing, I'm going to get some money, I'm going to come back and get you.
What are you talking about?
Right. Sorry.
Right. No. I know that she's. I mean, it's not a pep talk to Lucy. It's a pep talk to herself. Right. Of her saying, "Yeah, I'll get some money. I'll come back. I'll get you. It'll be fine." Right. But this is a moment where Wendy really puts Lucy's needs ahead of hers. Right? She understands that, yeah, I can't care for you the way that you should be cared for, or the way that I would want to care for you. Right. So, these people can, and I don't have to leave you behind.
Right. Clearly a backyard is better for you than the trains.
Than jumping on a train. Because I'm thinking, like, is she going to, like, throw Lucy up there? I mean, like, yeah. So but it's heartbreaking and it's sad. And I immediately hugged my dog. I'll never leave you in someone else's backyard.
I'll never tie you to. And what's crazy, and obviously I think what's perfect about this film is that she could have easily paid for the dog food. Right? I know. She didn't have to have this happen to her. And it's just one of those things where, yes, there's a series of misfortunes that most likely led her into this place where you don't see any of that. Thank you, IMDb. But there are obviously moments that Lucy could have helped herself out, and it's
Wendy could have
helped herself. Well, Lucy could have just ran the fuck away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Lucy, make better choices.
Oh, okay, yeah, seriously, Lucy, like, yeah, you've got ample opportunity to go find a yard somewhere. But she could have helped. Wendy could have helped herself out, and doesn't. She tries to take a shortcut, and these things continually compound. When Wendy walks through the pound, there is one door that looks like Lucy's in there. And I thought, wait a minute, did she just miss her? Like, it's like winding, going back. Like, just go backwards. That might be Lucy. Take a harder look.
Look closer.
You're walking way too fast in this pound. This movie's only 80 minutes long. You can take some more time. We can pad the pound scene out.
Yeah. We've only got like one shooting location. It's like, it's okay.
Right. But, and again, going back to what I said before a couple episodes ago, and I just said you don't necessarily need a record film every single time. Like, again, how much could this have possibly cost to make? You could have
probably... It was like $1 million.
And that's like with good craft services. Right, you could have made this for $100,000. Yeah. Like,
although, I mean, that's what it says, but oh no, I'm sorry. The budget was $300,000.
Okay, so that makes more sense.
And I think box office was like 1.4. So I just got confused there. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, no, there's, right. I mean, and where's that money really going? To Michelle Williams? I mean, I'm
sure she probably worked for scale at this point.
Yeah. And to work with Kelly Reichardt.
I mean, you have to imagine that the most of the budget was equipment and lighting and things like that. I mean, like,
did you read that Kelly Reichardt thought that Michelle Williams was too pretty? And so
I did not, but that's funny.
She said, or she asked her not to wear any makeup or wash her hair for 2 weeks while shooting.
Well, she was appropriately filthy and ugly in this movie, so yeah.
Oh yeah,
she's a hideous troll.
And didn't shave her legs the entire time.
Yeah, I like what this movie doesn't tell you. Yeah, right, and a much more confident film that I mean than what you would normally see. I mean, because she has an injury on her leg, you get all of these details that you that aren't explained to you, right? I mean, that you just pick up on because they're present, and this is it's there's just not a lot going on in this film either. It's a strangely like hard film to talk about. It is, yeah. I mean, it really is.
It's like it's really moving and it's really well done.
But I think the quiet moments are real. I mean, I think the moment where she gets caught in the grocery store and the
hey, your son's a real hero.
The manager's like, I don't want to, like, this is more work for me to call the cops, but we got rules, I guess. And this fucking guy over here, the kid who catches her is like, we got to set an example. Like, what are we saying if we don't set an example?
Jesus Christ.
And like everyone in the theater, if 100,000 people that saw this in the theater wanted to punch that guy for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your son's a real hero. Yeah. I don't know. Anything else you want to
No. I mean, it's also interesting if you watch this on Tubi to watch it with commercials. It's a weird film to be broken up with commercials.
Look, listeners, do yourself a favor. Get a Mubi subscription and watch it without commercials.
Yes, agreed.
Because, it's weird. And you might, even though it's 80 minutes, actually might need to take a break.
Yeah.
But that's okay. He can hit the pause button without like the Frito-Lay's interruption.
Yeah, without the Ozempic commercials.
Right.
AstraZeneca. Just call your doctor, see if it can help.
Okay. So next time we're going to think up more endorsement deals for
get Chapel on a call on the phone.
In the moment celebrities.
Roan on the phone. That'll be our new segment.
That's good. We're not doing that.
Yeah, she's definitely not coming on.
No. What if she did though?
If she's like, hey,
say like, hey, do you have a favorite movie?
Someone told me about about that commercial idea, and I was wondering if you knew anything how to hook that up.
Yeah, you want to talk about new management?
Or here's a check. We went ahead and
Can
ran.
You make this happen?
We went ahead and ran with that. So here's your royalty for that.
here's your residual. Here's your finder's fee. We will also talk about some more Kelly Reichardt, or another Kelly Reichardt film with Meeks Cutoff, and a couple actual horror films, sort of.
Yeah, sort of.
I don't know. We'll talk about those, but and also plenty more non sequiturs. So until then, thank you all for listening,
and keep screaming.
Don't take your love to town. It wasn't me that started that old crazy Asian war. But I was proud to go and do my patriotic chore. And yes, it's true that I'm not the man I used to be. Oh, Ruby, I still need some company.
You have been listening to Why Does the Wilhelm Scream with your hosts, Brock and Jason. If you liked today's episode, do us a favor and rate, review, and subscribe in whatever application you use to consume podcasts these days. You can reach us by visiting whydoesthewilhelmscream.com. If you are in the DFW area, we would love to see you at a Fort Worth Film Club event. You can learn more about those and find a full schedule at fortworthfilmclub.com. And you can learn about my foundation and how we are trying to foster the next generation of film lovers at realhousefoundation.org. That's REEL housefoundation.org. Till next time,